ago, I resigned from the Trump administration. As a Republican who dreamed of working in the White House, it was a hard decision. But as an American, it was the right one. I saw how Donald Trump undermined our intelligence community, our military leaders, and ultimately our democratic process. Now, he's doing it again, lying and laying the groundwork to undermine this election. It's his MO, to sow doubt and division. That's what Trump wants, because it's the only way he wins. And that's what our foreign adversaries want, because it's the only way they win. As a national security expert, y como latina, y hija de una inmigrante mexicana que realizó el sueño americano, being inside Trump's White House was terrifying. But what keeps me up at night is what'll happen if he gets back there. The guardrails are gone. The few adults in the room the first time resigned or were fired. I grew up in the kind of working family that Trump pretends to care about. Conservative, Catholic, Texan. July 4th was our most sacred holiday. Those values made me a Republican. And they're the same values that make me proud to support Kamala Harris. Not because we agree on every issue, but because we agree on the most important issue: protecting our freedom. So to my fellow Republicans, you aren't voting for a Democrat. You're voting for democracy. You aren't betraying our party. You're standing up for our country. Thank you. Gracias.
Please welcome former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan.
Good evening. I bring greetings from the great state of Georgia. So let's get the hard part out of the way. I am a Republican. But tonight, I stand here as an American. An American that cares more about the future of this country than the future of Donald Trump. My journey started to this podium years ago when I realized Donald Trump was willing to lie, cheat, and steal to try to overturn the 2020 election. I realized Trump was a direct threat to democracy, and his actions disqualified him from ever stepping foot into the Oval Office again. I could spend my time revving up this crowd, but I'm certain I don't have to talk anybody out of voting for Donald Trump here. So I'm going to focus my attention on the millions of Republicans and independents that are at home that are sick and tired of making excuses for Donald Trump. If Republicans are being intellectually honest with ourselves, our party is not civil or conservative. It's chaotic and crazy, and the only thing left to do is dump Trump. These days, our party acts more like a cult worshiping a felonious thug. Look, you don't have to agree with every policy position of Kamala Harris. I don't. But you do have to recognize her prosecutor mindset that understands right from wrong, good from evil. She's a steady hand and will bring leadership to the White House that Donald Trump could never do. Let me be clear to my Republican friends at home watching. If you vote for Kamala Harris in 2024, you're not a Democrat, you're a patriot. In our family, my wife Brooke and I are raising 3 boys, and we have a family motto. And it says, doing the right thing will never be the wrong thing. During 2020, during just the lowest of lows, when we had armed officers outside our house protecting us from other Republicans, Donald Trump had targeted us. My son came downstairs, and he handed me this coaster that I'd given him years before at a father-son retreat for our church. And he said, hey, Dad, doing the right thing will never be the wrong thing. Stay strong. To my fellow Republicans at home that want to pivot back towards policy, empathy, and tone, you know the right thing to do. Now let's have the courage to do it in November. Thank you, and God bless you.
Please welcome Mississippi Representative Benny Thompson.
On January 6th, like most of my colleagues, I had one goal: to uphold the votes of the American people, the cornerstone of our American democracy. But as what you've just witnessed, let me remind you that the members of that violent mob had another goal. They wanted to stop the peaceful transfer of power for the first time in American democracy. Thank God they failed. Because in this country, we settle our differences at the ballot box, not through violence. It took a long time to get here, and we are not going back. Because I remember that dark history. It's my own history. In this life, my father never cast a vote because of Jim Crow. So I dedicated my career to protecting the votes against violence and discrimination. You can imagine what I felt on January 6th when I saw with my own eyes those insurrectionists trying to take that away. They did it to rob millions of Americans of their votes. They did it because Donald Trump couldn't handle losing. He lied about the election fraud. He called his conspiracy-led mob to Washington. He would rather subvert democracy than submit to it. Now, he's plotting again. His campaign proclaims that elections won't end until the moment of inauguration. We will win or it was rigged. We win or else. This is Donald Trump's America. Elections are about choice. Choose democracy, not political violence. Choose the America we've always taught our children to love. choose Kamala Harris.
Please welcome former United States Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Gonell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before I begin, I need to acknowledge the sacrifices that 5 officers who died as a result of January 6 made on that day. My name is Aquilino Gonell. I immigrated to the U.S. from the Dominican Republic when I was 12. I became an American citizen. I was a sergeant in the U.S. Army and a Capitol Police officer. I had seen violence while serving in Iraq, but nothing prepared me for January 6. We officers risked everything to protect innocent people. We were beaten and blinded. I was assaulted with a pole attached to the American flag. President Trump summoned our attackers and sided with them. He betrayed us. When I joined the Army and Capitol Police, I took an oath to defend the Constitution. I did so with duty in my soul, and I still feel it. To Donald Trump, I ask, why don't you? On January 6, I nearly died protecting the Capitol, and I will do it again for our democracy. The way to preserve it is to elect Kamala Harris, our first female commander-in-chief.
Please welcome New Jersey Representative Andy Kim.
When I was a kid, my parents brought me to the Capitol. They taught me that it's sacred ground, a symbol of our democracy. When I got to Congress, I was excited to bring my little boys to the same beautiful building. I asked them, "Do you like the Capitol?" And my oldest son, Austin, said, "I love the Capitol, and lowercase too." They are so sweet. But shortly after, we saw something unimaginable. A mob tearing down flags, assaulting police officers. That night, I walked into the rotunda. The floor was covered in broken glass and garbage, strewn with the chaos unleashed by Donald Trump. And I thought to myself, how did it get this bad? So I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed the trash bag and started cleaning up. What I learned on January 6th is that all of us are caretakers for our great republic. We can heal this country, but only if we try. Many of you are doing your part through your voices and your votes. Always remember, this chaos that we see, it doesn't have to be this way. As a father, I refuse to believe that our kids are doomed to grow up in a broken America. There is a hunger right now in this country for a new generation of leadership to step up. Let's choose Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Let's do this for our kids and our grandkids. Thank you.